guys, good morning, wherever you are. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, live on Facebook and YouTube. Hey guys, good to be with you. This is the Recovery Channel podcast coming straight at you. As usual, my co-host is Jennifer Lovely. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. How are you? How's the weather?
It's beautiful here. San Antonio, Texas. It's about 82 degrees. There's a slight chill in the air. Oh man, it's absolutely awesome. What's your day look like?
It's good. I've got patients and clients and all, healing the world with what we do. And it's a little rainy and cloudy. And it's kind of like one of those days you kind of want to just hang out curled up with a blanket and a cup of tea. But I'm doing good. Excited to start my day and super excited about our guest today, Anthony Trucks.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys have joined us because Anthony's a favorite. I've spoke to about 60 or 70 guys today. On text and voice and everything, and everybody knows him. And of course, I've heard of him. It's shame about the early retirement because of the shoulder injury, but what a player, And Randy Grimes was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I bet he knows Randy and vice versa from the Buccaneer days. Randy always goes to all the games. So yeah, it should be an interesting show. I'm looking forward to it. Anything changed since yesterday? And we don't do one show today, by the way. Isn't that awesome?
I know, that's odd. But good, all good. We get a little bit of a reprieve, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow.
Always, exactly. Guys, if you're struggling from alcoholism or addiction, or you need an intervention, don't forget to call us 214-600-0210. We are the guys. Our success rate is up there at 97%. Dr. Robb Kelly and Jennifer Lovely doing the business, not taking any crap from anybody. We don't rip you off money like treatment centers. We do the business, and we do it good. 97% success rate. We are freaking awesome, Jen, because we're in this for the right reason. I love seeing people recover. I love seeing families getting back together. We've been building families for the last 27 years. Isn't it awesome?
I know it is. And, it is a family affair. It's not, they say addiction, it's not just about the addict. It's about the family. And, I'm all about that.
Exactly. That's why we first got together, because I wouldn't part. I was so stubborn. I wouldn't part up with anybody. But when you come and brought that side of it, the family side, because that was the missing key for us. That guy that told us, taking him out of the Japanese house to speak in German, putting him back in the Japanese house. It was like, oh my God, that's exactly what it's like. We need to start teaching everybody the same language. Hey guys, Anthony Trucks is on the show. Oh yeah, you better believe it. He's on straight after this. Stick around, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Recovery Channel podcast. My name is Dr. Robb Kelly, the Addiction Doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. And joining us today, ex-former NFL linebacker. We're talking Redskins, we're talking Tampa Bay, and we're talking Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, what a player. Anthony Trucks is on the show.
Hey.
Anthony, welcome. Good to see you, man.
I'm excited. You got the energy to wake everybody up in the morning. You're the right man.
Let's go.
Do it.
I remember as I was doing some work for the Cowboys, and I can't tell who I was working with, but I'd go in the locker room downstairs, and I'd be all go. And even some of the guys are like, Rob, do me a favor, just calm down, will you? It's like 8:00 in the morning. We've not had our coffee. I'd be like, come on, let's go. Let's do this business. Like,
yeah. Like, you got to do it though. We have those days. We just do them 16 times a year. Outside of that, we just chill out, man.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Anthony, it's so great to have you. I'm the one that is just gonna dive right deep into the heart of who you are.
Yeah.
And especially since you are in the world of coaching and supporting people in the world and making people better. Can you share with me 5 events that shaped your life?
Oh, 5 events. Yeah, let's go. So first one was my mom gave me away at 3 years old in a foster care system. So that was really big because obviously I started my life, we'll call it behind the ball. And I went through a lot of craziness, just like being, abused and tortured and beaten, man, some really heinous stuff as a kid. Second event was, I think when I was adopted at 14, finally, after 11 years in the system, an all-white family, really poor. So like, that was the first time I knew, 14, I knew the place I woke up, I get to go to bed tonight. It's the first time I knew that for sure in all my conscious life. So that's 2. Third, I would say was when I had I'd say I get a college scholarship. I beat the odds, get a college scholarship. and went into the next level of life when like I shouldn't have, statistically, being a foster kid. I met my dad at 21, had my son at 20. I don't know if it was a pivotal. They're both pivotal, but there was more. NFL was great. I'll say that's one good moment. And then outside of that, it was when I lost everything. Let's say my wife cheated on me. She had an affair, man. My whole marriage blew up and fell apart. I wasn't a present father. My business that I'd opened up as a gym business because my degrees in kinesiology fell apart. At one point I drove off. I was like, I don't want to be here, because if this is life after football, like, I don't want any of this. Like, after 3 years in the league, I'd lost my career. Like, life sucked. And then the next pivotal moment was my mom passed away in 2014, and it opened up my eyes to, like, maybe there's something special I can give to the world from all this crazy. And that was the pathway to leading to where I do what I do now.
That's crazy. All that trauma going on. All that trauma going on. You know, the foster care, most people we speak to that go through foster care system carry the trauma that goes with that. And then you get adopted into an all-white family that, again, from your website, is living in poverty. You know, God bless them for adopting you. And then you beat all that to go to college and then to become an NFL player. Talk to me really about getting that scholarship. I mean, what was that like? That must have been a huge part of your life.
It was very weird, because seriously, when I say poor, I mean, like, when I was a kid, I used to get made fun of because I would go to shirts that were like go to school with shirts that were so wrinkled you couldn't see the logo on it. Like, we were like Goodwill shopping and getting donations. We didn't have much. So going to college, my mom seriously said, if you don't get a scholarship, I'm not paying for college. We can't pay for college. And so I fought tooth and nail to get academically eligible, because we weren't a family of, like, I'm one of 6, and my mom and dad both, like, they weren't, college people. They were just, barely get through school, GED. So it wasn't part of the norm of my family to go to school. So not only did I beat the academic odds, I beat the odds of foster care, but I also beat the odds of, sports, because most athletes you don't get a college scholarship to a Division I school like Oregon that I went to, off of just a whim. And so it was a really powerful moment that I don't think I realized in the moment how life transitioning it was, because it was a catalyst to so many more things in my life, just the exposure to different brains, different minds, different level of professionalism. But yeah, that was an incredible feat, man. And I'm blessed that I got to take part in it.
You are. And gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack here, Anthony. So I'm glad I opened the question with what I did, but I'm really curious. Yeah. What was it like to connect at 14 to a family that adopts you? And you're 14. Your brain is not fully developed at that age, yet know that you've got to adopt them as your family. So how was that?
Yeah, I think Eric Erickson has the psychosocial stages, and that's one of the ones prior to the role versus, identity. Identity role confusion, right? So going into that realm. So I'm still figuring out who I am and where I fit. And it was interesting because not only do I talk like this, which it's not like your typical Black American, we'll call it. So I would get called Oreo all the time at school. So I didn't fit in with the Black kids. With the white kids, I didn't really fit in because I didn't look like them. And so I had this, I don't fit anywhere to begin with. Then I wanted to try football for the first time. All my classmates had played. I did really well in recess, So I put a helmet and shoulder pads on the first time and I get destroyed. I'm horrible. So like the hard part is I get this adoption. I finally feel like I matter in some capacity to somebody, this family that adopts me, right? But then the world still doesn't give me any respect, any acceptance. And that's a difficult kind of role for me. So I never quite knew who I was. I was this identity crisis. I was always floating it at all times. But it did give me a sense of ease of finally knowing somebody wanted me. Like, I finally knew that I was desired by some entity on this planet. Because prior to that, your mom doesn't want you around and your siblings are gone. And, I didn't know my real dad, no idea who he was. So I was like, obviously it's 6-7 years later. And so I just had this weird bubble. I was with this family for 8 years, however. So I knew they loved me and wanted me. But when you're not adopted, it's tough to want to connect because the fear of what if this is all ripped away was always there. So
hold on. Yeah. So if we
I'm start calling you two question, Jennifer.
Yeah, sorry. Totally. I correct him. It's what I do. Because especially when it comes to this stuff just like makes me gives me goosebumps. Yeah. But what I wanted to say was if we knew that we were worthy, Dr. Robb and I would be out of a job.
Yeah, right?
Right?
I'm going to say one word to you, Auntie, now. What is wrong with the word abandonment? That must be rife or was rife in your family, correct?
Yeah. I mean, big time, even into my adulthood. I mean, when my wife had an affair, it's the same kind of feeling. It's tough. You said that. I felt that, dude. That word settled in my heart just now real quick. And I was like, ooh, he went to, ooh. It's tough because as humans, we're built on connection. We're built to connect and interact and have that. And so when it's removed forcibly, or even in a way where it's removed and you don't make sense of it, and then you're placed in an environment where you feel like you're not even accepted, it's an ever-running feeling. It's empty. And I think what happens to a lot of foster kids, we end up having this resentment and we want to pay it back to the world. So that's why a lot of us become criminals. Like if you look at a prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids. Yeah. It's kind of like, well, I was abandoned and the world didn't do anything for me. So that's the world to do what I want. And then it's a bad roll downhill, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. So you went through a lot. Talk to me about what was the thing that suffering gave you that wanted to be fully expressed?
It gave me it gave me anger at first, right? Because that's a thing. So football was a good place for it to go. I mean, I could go and hit somebody, not get in trouble. Oh, Rob, I could smack these kids. You get to hear that feeling when you hit them, and it's like, I'm not in trouble. Oh, let me do it again, right? So that's the first one. But then I think it wasn't until later. I mean, I probably not till like my mid-20s, and I realized that the suffering was something that, and I could turn into something positive, and it gave me a better level or feeling of release than giving the pain away. Because when I'm in that emotion of pain, I still feel pain. And when you're still trying to give the revenge, you still feel it. When I gave the positivity, I got to feel that. So I kind of tell people, like, I turned into like God's pin cushion. Like, the pin cushion holds a bunch of pins, and you can choose to take a pin out and you could poke somebody and you can make them feel pain. But what if I took it out and like use the needle to like weave an amazing tapestry of life that could like warm the world up in some way? Sounds odd, but like that was a perspective. Like, you know what? I'm going to do something different with this, because when I would give and do right and be good and be happy, I could feel it. So the more I could do that, the more I could feel that. And so what I didn't have growing up, I got to create for myself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Absolutely. Because most people in your situation, I mean, you get drafted. I mean, I don't know what the money was like, at your level, but you get drafted. It's big money. You start playing in the NFL. It's a dream come true. Everything's riding right. You've made up for your past. This is it. And then bang, shoulder injury.
Done.
Back to abandonment again. It's like, I mean, there must have been times when you thought, fuck this. I just can't do this anymore.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 2011, man. I was like, I'm done. Because there's a thing that happens, and then you go home. And here's the thing. I look at a lot of this stuff in the work I do in identity, kind of like a tree and fruit, right? And the fruit is the career. It's the NFL. So this fruit fell off the tree and it's on the ground. And when a fruit first comes off the tree, like you can still eat it for a bit, right? You can still, it sits there, but after a while, it gets a little bit brown and it gets squishy and then it gets rotten and you feel that, right? So that's how I felt after a while leaving the NFL. Stack on top of that, when I left, I wanted to find myself again. So I opened a gym business. 9 months in, I'm looking at bankruptcy and eviction. My marriage is falling apart. We have 2 more kids. So I have 3 kids. My wife's at home with a 4-year-old and a twin newborns, and I'm not there. So we're fighting. It's just a lot of dynamics that are all over the place. And then it gets to the point where my wife steps out of me. I'm out of shape. There's no more football. Everything that made Anthony was gone. And I literally had this night, I watched this UFC fight with my buddies at their house. And I remember just sitting there and being there. And I guess I didn't move for like 3 hours. I just, it's just empty inside, because I owned a gym and I had to go be happy for other people. And I didn't have any happy in me, draining. And I drove off and I text my friends and family. And I said, please tell my kids who their father was. And I was done. I was looking for rat poison about 10 o'clock at night. Luckily, no stores were open. And like the feeling subsided, but dude, it was an empty, bottomless pit of a feeling, because what do you do to get out of here? There's no self-love. There's just a complete shame. I can't even keep my wife around. I'm not a present father because I'm gone all day building this thing that's unsuccessful. So yeah, the feeling of abandonment, of loss, of emptiness, it reared its ugly head, man. And it literally like toppled me. And thankfully, it was just the right time, I guess, me to have that emotion where I couldn't do anything to myself. And I was the really bottom of me starting to, okay, well, nothing can get worse than this, I guess. So how do I climb out? And that was the start of me climbing out of the damn hole.
So how did you climb out? What was your first step for people that want to know how to climb out?
Man, first off, before this, keep in mind, I'm an NFL linebacker, and I have this mindset of like, I'm great, I'm tough, alpha, you can't touch me. and I wouldn't let anybody in. No one was allowed in. I'm the guy, big black 6'1", 240 linebacker, gym owner. Wow, right? So I kept all of it inside, and because I did, that's how I got to that place. I believe the first thing was letting people in. Here's what's going on. My marriage sucks. I hate myself. Football's over. I don't know who I am. Everything that made me me is gone. And that was the first step. There's more past that, but that was the first one.
Guys, Anthony Trucks on the show. Amazing story, amazing guy. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Hey guys, welcome back. This is a Recovery Channel podcast. Recovering from life, recovering from depression, recovering from drugs and alcohol, whatever it is. My name's Dr. Robb, the addiction doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. And Anthony Trucks is on the show today. You probably know him, former NFL linebacker, 6'2", 250 pounds, I think he said. Geez, that's a big guy right there. And I just love, because I was never a sports guy, but I was into bodybuilding, and I was always a fighting guy. And, people look at me, and when I was struggling, going through depression and alcoholism, and go, well, I couldn't turn around to any of my friends. The other big guys that I was working the door with, and something, I don't feel too good today. I think I've got a little bit of fear going on. They would beat the crap out of me and go, are you kidding me? So to come on here and to admit that and to do what you do today is a phenomenal. I want to ask you to explain what a transformational identity coach is, because I know that you do that today and know that you do it very well. So explain to the viewers exactly what that is.
Yeah, man. So essentially the way I look at it is everything that we do or have in life is all an extension of who we are, right? It's in the nuggets, in the moments you're not consciously thinking about it. It's your response, your habits, reactions. So the idea is, like, most people, for addiction, for example, whenever like someone wants to stop smoking, it's one thing to say, I'm trying to quit. It's a whole other thing to say, I'm not a smoker, right? I'm identifying with something new. And so what I do is I help people figure out who you want to identify as, and then what's the process to get you to actually feel internally as if it's you. There's a lot of stuff that you go through in terms of structuring and planning and taking action and building into something, going past a lot of worth issues. Like, I don't know if I deserve that. I don't know if I'm supposed to have that. Like, a lot of things we work through. But when I'm done with people, they get to the point where they feel they deserve this life they've desired for so very long, and they earn it through a lot of craziness and hard conversations. I did the work myself, accidentally, we'll call it, and then turned it into a process that I can repeat for people. And at the end of it, man, we have some beautiful transformation. People make more money. They fix their marriages. They some have ended addiction, not completely. I wouldn't say that's kind of a strength of mine, right? It's a different area, but people have ended some aspects of things that have been self-deprecating. But yeah, it's been cool to watch it. But the idea is, how do I get you to identify as the person who is now happy, healthy, sober, enjoying life?
I love that. So when you look at the impact that you had in the NFL, which is a great impact, and I think that that's an important aspect. I have my thoughts about sports and sports figures and who they are in the world, but from what you're doing today to what you were doing before, what's the greater impact in your life today?
100% this. What's funny is I always believe that, I was meant to play football. That's what I'm for. But then after you go through and look at the crazy story of it all, I think football was just one of those things that was placed in my life by a higher power. I believe God, that was like, hey, I need you to go through all this craziness. Then I need you to go and do all this awesomeness so that people will listen to you talk about the craziness.
Yes.
That's exactly how we're put on this earth, I think. He takes you through, he took me through homelessness. He takes you through home. So a kid from Oxford who's a doctor suddenly finds himself homeless. Lost $1 million house, the kids, the wife, the car, takes him to the homeless. I hate everybody and everything. Tried to commit suicide 6 times. On 2 occasions, I succeeded. They brought me back, went through all that shit to end up inspiring people today. Because I don't know about you, Anthony, but when people come up to me, they go, yeah, what do you know, Dr. Robb? You've never been homeless. Check. You've never lost your kids. Check. I'm the guy that stabbed his wife 3 times one night because she won't let him finish drinking. And they go, no way. And I say, oh, that's where God's got me. That's where God. I like something I read about you, and I think it's a slogan or a sentence you have. It's not a shift in mindset, but it's a shift in identity.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because mindset is an interesting thing. Mindset is this perspective that like just your mind's got to be the thing that, works. But mindset really, when you get to the root of what it is, it's a lot of affirmations and tactics and strategies and tools you can apply. And what I found is like football, I had an amazing mindset. I was an NFL linebacker. My mindset was as strong as you can imagine, yet I still broke my damn life, right? And the reason was I came out of football and I couldn't identify as anything else. Therefore, whatever I applied the mindset to, it didn't work anymore. It was kind of like it fell short because at the root of me, I didn't believe it was me. And so there's studies that showed George Washington University did a study on this, and it showed individuals, if they had the mindset, tactics, and tools, but didn't self-categorize or identify, they always fell short. So it's like identity is a thing that once the mindset reaches that, like you have a moment or something breaks and you have no tactic, I have no mindset, tool, affirmation, identity fills that gap. Am I going to keep going? Am I going to stop? Am I going to fight? Am I going to, give up? Like, am I going to sink or am I going to swim? And so whenever you get to the point of actually identity is the thing that you're anchoring to, mindset's all part of it. Like it's almost a natural like thing. Like you don't even, I find there's a lot of people that have like, if you identify like yourself, Rob, Jennifer, you guys identify as a host of this show. You don't need to bring the mindset of like, I got to do great today. No, it's who I am to do great. Damn it. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be, when you have that identity in place, the rest almost flows naturally.
It does. And, I have always said that if you want to change the world, it starts with you changing yourself, because when you change yourself, your perspective changes. Yeah. Everything, the world changes. You don't see it at all.
Yeah.
So what kind of life or what kind of world do you live in terms of how you view the world?
Yeah, I live in a different world than everybody else, apparently. I mean, what is... there's big things. I live with people. People are the best and the worst part of this world, right? There's people that I love and they're amazing. There's also crappy people in the world. And so I first had to realize, well, how do I enjoy more of the people that I'm around? And that's more being present and identifying as I'm a dad, I'm a business owner, I'm a coach and a servant. So I show up in that way identity wise. But also it's like, how do I not be affected by the negative people in this world? How do I forgive my real mom, forgive my wife who I've remarried? How do I forgive my dad for never being around? Like, how do I forgive colleagues for stealing money from me? All these different things. And I have this certain way that I live in a world of like, you know what? People inherently are just selfish. They're not always malicious. Most of the time they're doing things for them. And unfortunately, it passes on to me through whatever the osmosis we'll call it. So when I got to that mindset, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a little more compassion for individuals, a little more pity sometimes too. I'm not going to carry that crazy negativity. So the world I live in is like, if somebody does me wrong, your loss, you have to miss out on a great dude who I would show up and serve you amazingly. So, hey, sucks for you. And I get to spend time with people who matter to me in life. And I do things that always give back to humanity in a positive way. So I'm in a good positive flow of I give out great, I get great back. If I get bad back, I get you off the train and I keep having more good coming and going.
I like that. I love it. Guys, Anthony Trucks on the show. Give us 10 seconds. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Recovery Channel podcast. If you just joined the show, we have Anthony Trucks on, former NFL linebacker. My name's Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. Okay, quick fire question. Anthony, best and worst part of the NFL?
Best and worst. The best part's playing, dude. That's the absolute best part. The worst part is being told every day in practice they're going to cut you, because that's what they would do to motivate you, apparently. That's the worst part. I mean, because it's crazy. It feels like foster care again. You have no idea if you got to be in the same place tomorrow. So as much as if it was cool because I got to play, I hated the environment of like, I don't know if I have a job tomorrow for sure.
That's so interesting, because in some form or fashion that you were having to relive your abandonment all over again and again and again. It's like the theme, right?
Every day.
And the truth is that we're all afraid that we're going to be abandoned. That's our biggest fear. Most of us, I would say, is our biggest fear. So when you look at what it was like to meet your father, what did that feel like?
Well, it felt weird because I had a dad, like, the guy raised me from, 6 years old up. But at the same time, it's this thing where like it closes that gap and that hole of like, who in the hell created me? Because I also didn't know his name until like maybe 6 months before I met him. It was a different name on my birth certificate. My mom is white. The birth certificate name was O'Byrne, which is Irish. So it's like two white people can't make me. So something's a little bit off. And I finally got his name my sophomore year of college. And the cool part, when I got to meet him, was special. So it was like my true sophomore year, and I wanted to beat out this redshirt senior, fit 5 years in my second year for the job because we were going to play in Marietta, Georgia. Sorry, Mississippi. He was in Marietta, Georgia, and I called him. We had a quick chat. He's like, "I'll come meet you at the game." So after a crazy battle, I won the spot. I got starting spot. Got to play on national television. We won the game. I got a game ball. And I got to meet him. It was very unique because it was just this culmination of a lot of moments of life all in one singular day. And I got to pretty much see where my flesh and blood came from.
That's beautiful.
That's almost mind blowing too. I mean, it's either all or nothing with you, Anthony.
Yeah,
you're waiting for something to happen, and it all comes at once.
Just
like, oh my God, all on the same day, man! It's just unbelievable. Tell me if, and I think it does. Tell me what part God plays in your life.
Oh man, big part. My entire family. It's first off, God's why my marriage is back together for sure. My wife, she came to faith when it was like a time when I thought it could never happen. He helped me kind of get to a straight and narrow at the perfect time because we were up separate for 3 years. We got to the point where like there's some craziness. One of our ex-boyfriends showed up to my house drunk and like I shot him in the leg. Like we had some crazy. Yeah. So my story is. I got some stories for you guys. If you ever want to see here, we could unpack some weirdness. But no, like it got to the point where like I woke up one day, I had this level of like this. It was January 2016, and I had this woman had flown from Russia in to hang out with me on New Year's, and it was just like I woke up. I know it sounds odd, Rob, and it was like I had steered so far from my faith. I was like, I don't like this dude. He's not a good guy. Look what's going on, and I cut off all women. I was like celibate besides lotion. It was just me hanging out for like months. And then I get to the point of like growing as a human again. I finally got to the point of figuring out my identity, where it was and what I had to do to upgrade it. At the same time, across town, we'll call it, my ex-wife was going through her own kind of transformation and weird changes. And we kind of came together around August of that same year. And the best way I can explain it is I got to meet somebody for the first time that I'd known for 16 years. Like different heart, different mind, and God put us back together. And then now, like I help the pastor at my church run the corner all the time. Like we're consistently at church. We pray before every meal. Like God's the center point of my marriage and the family. Like it's an anchor, man. He is the thing that's the North Star when we need it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful experience. I don't have those kinds of crazy. I mean, like the getting back together, I think is so powerful because it's powerful for your children.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the part that's so powerful. I so wish that for my children, just in that, because I think that there's always a brokenness in us when our parents are separated, and because we take that on personally. So talk to me about what it's like to be a dad.
Oh man, it's the best thing in the world. I'm not even saying that. My kid turned 16 today. We have a car. Little bastard. No, he was like the best accident, because we didn't plan to have him. But like, I remember when I found out, I was standing in the locker room. It was like my sophomore year of college. My girlfriend, or my fiance at the time, she was Christina, and I would remember I get this call, and she's like, "Hey, Anthony, I'm pregnant." And you'd think most 19-year-olds who were college athletes, and but I was like, yeah, like I get to be a dad. I get to do something for the life that was never done for me. Let's do it. And yeah, so my college career went from being a college athlete to being a dad that played college sports. And it was an identity kind of transition of how I saw myself. I have always and forever been a present father. Like my kids have always, besides like doing the business stuff, I've never been a guy that's not around, not loving, not sharing, but it anchors me. I mean, one of my kids, I want to punch him in the throat all the time, but like I love the dude. And my daughter, she's aloof and she's hilarious. And my oldest is he won't eat peanut butter or tapioca or applesauce because of the texture, and he only wears black shoes. They're all hella weird, but I love that they're my blood. I love that I wake up in the home with them, and it drives me to want to create something where when I leave this planet or they go anywhere in the world, someone could go like, "Oh, your dad's Anthony Trucks." Like, "Oh, great guy." The scariest thing in the world for me would be for my kids to ever have somebody go, "Oh, you didn't know this about him." So I live so clean in the dark because what you do in the dark comes to the light. And it's who I am, man. It's to a level where I want my kids to be forever and always proud of the guy that they have be able to call their dad.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard on this show so far, if not in life, you know, being present. And I want my kid, I want people to say to my kids that your dad was a good guy. Jeez, man, you're going to get us crying, Anthony. Don't do shit like that to us. That's real beautiful, man. Listen, what you telling the guy that gets cut from the NFL and his world has just gone to shit? What advice are you giving that guy?
One, the ego's got to drop, because the thing is, NFL guys, we believe that we're this amazing, you know, God's, you know, sent humans to save the world, and we just catch a football and tackle people. If we're going to the root of it, right? Don't get me wrong, like the world looks up to us, we are role models, but at the same time, when that's dashed, like, you aren't broken. Earlier, I'd mentioned that when the fruit falls off the tree, that everything withers and dies. What happened to me was that fruit fell off, and for a long time, I thought I was the fruit. But most people don't grasp you've never been the fruit. You've always been the tree. The tree created the career, created the family, created everything. And so what happens is so many people tend to the fruit, they lose sight of the rest of the tree. So the rest of the fruit dies. That's what I did. The marriage fell apart, the health fell apart, the business didn't do well because I was always looking at the football fruit. But when you go back and you prune the branches, you water it, you tend to the roots, that tree creates better, bigger fruit like I've done. So the NFL guy getting out like, hey, dude, that fruit fell off. Like, okay, it's going to be ripe for a little bit, but eventually it's going to die. Don't lose sight of the rest of the tree, man. Build better fruit.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great analogy. I might have to steal that with my coaching clients myself.
Okay.
Self-love is a revolutionary act.
Yeah.
And because your love for yourself, Anthony, looks different than how I love myself, how do you love yourself?
I love my man amazingly. You know, I love myself in the actions every day, because love is a verb. It's also a feeling, right? But love is like, I'm not going to do dumb things. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, because yesterday's Anthony did what he said he was going to do. And I think the unique thing is people don't realize that your life, it happens in moments that pass. And I believe that nothing matters to the moment that it matters. I can say what I want to say, but until it gets to this point in time, what do you do now? And what's unique is I like to go to bed every night looking at this guy and loving that dude. Because at one point I didn't like this guy. I didn't want to be alone with him because I didn't know him. I didn't like him and he sucked. But when I got used to who he was and I fell in love with the guy, like, I want to be around him. And I show him love by following through on my commitments, by doing what's right, by standing up for what I know I believe in, like doing certain things. And so it's love as a verb. And it looks like me loving myself enough to show up in the world, to be strong enough to allow other people to have a view of what it looks like so they can do it for themselves. But also, I can't give what I don't have. Right. So because I have that, I can give love to the person who may be giving me anger or giving me hate. Because I got enough love, like, I'll give you a little bit of love. When you give it to somebody, now they have a little more of that inside of them. They can experience it a little bit different. So, like, my love creates a better world around me as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
And talking of love, how's you and the wife? Are we stronger than ever with the?
Dude, we have an incredible marriage. I would put my marriage up against any marriage in the world. And here's the thing: we're not perfect. We fight about stupid stuff all the time. It's just natural. It's part of it. But like, there's no way you're getting into my marriage. She's not stepping out. I'm not stepping out. We communicate well. Even when we don't communicate well, we communicate that we're not communicating well. You know, there's just there's that anchor. Our kids get to see what it's like to have mom and dad actually physically touch each other and, and like hug but like see it. It's a great example. Man, it's I don't know. It's a really, really, really great, strong, loving, good marriage. I don't know. And it wasn't that we intentionally were like, we want to build it. It wasn't the focus. It was like, how do I make sure that the marriage gets what the marriage needs? Because sometimes the marriage needs things. It's not us. I'm not the marriage. She isn't. The marriage itself needs something that I want from it. But sometimes I got to deposit that into it. Right. If I want to have trust, I got to deposit trustworthiness into the marriage. If I want to have, time, I got to deposit that into the marriage. Right. There's things I got to put in to get out what I want. But when we kind of got to that perspective, like, everything flowed smoother.
Yeah, because the marriage itself is a living, breathing entity on its own, and you have to feed it.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I love that. So, talk to me about what kind of client. Who do you work with? Not names, but who do you?
Oh yeah. I do well with a person who is off the couch and they want to get somewhere. The person who feels stuck and stagnant and stalled, but they have ambitions, they got desires, or the person who's had some success, but they feel like they're stuck in some position. Because the reality is, like, most people, we're really good at, we'll say, like, I'm not perfect. But when you sit with them, like, they'll tell you all the reasons they are. It's like, dude, really, so when you
Yeah.
sit down, like a lot of it is me uncovering the invisible chain that have been keeping them stuck and why they're where they're at, then opening their perspective of there's room to get better, to level up, what that looks like, and who you need to be to get there. Because who you need to be ties into the actions you have to have, the habits you have to have, the reactions, the drivers. It all ties back. But until I see that next tier and you have to see it, then you can oh, let me go to that, right? But that's the person, man. Ambitious, dream-driven, but feels kind of stuck, stalled, or stagnant.
Guys, Anthony Trucks is on the show. We'll be back with 2 more questions before we have to go. We'll stick around. We're back in 10 seconds. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's a Recovery Channel podcast. My name is Dr. Robb Kelly, the addiction doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. Anthony Trucks has been on the show. 2 more questions, Anthony, before we go to leave. Mine's a quick fire one, 3 in a go. Then Jennifer's going to finish off with an amazing question she always asks. So 3 from me. What car do you drive? Favorite movie? And who's your idol?
Yeah, I drive a 2020 Ram Black Edition. I wanted to get all black, no chrome, just black Ram. I'm a truck guy. Last name's Truck, so I went the truck. My favorite movie is Avatar. I don't know what it is, but I like the whole idea of a whole new world. And then my idol, oh man, I guess I don't have an idol like that. I think being around NFL and the work I do and TV, you kind of you get people are people. I think the person I look up to the most is future Anthony, though. The guy that I'll have to see someday and look in the mirror and be like, who are you? So I'm building that guy every day, but I also look up to him.
Wow.
I love that. That is so good.
Okay.
So as we say goodbye to you, and it's been such an honor and pleasure to speak with you. What do you want to be acknowledged for in your life?
That's legacy type stuff I hear that as what's your legacy, right? And I don't know if I could make it one singular thing. I call myself the Swiss Army knife of my family. I can do a whole bunch of weird, random. I'll seriously go outside and fix your car, build a fence, build a website, put the computer together. It's weird. And I think growing up poor, you have to figure out how to do stuff. So I think legacy wise, it's not so much that I want to be acknowledged for one thing, but I want to have an amazingly huge funeral. I want to impact people's lives past, information for their business and stuff where they go, man, that was a good human. I want to go see that guy off. I won't be there. If I am, it'll be funny. But I just want to have this thing where people come and they celebrate the craziness that I did for the world in some positive way. And so whatever that looks like, acknowledgement wise, I think it'll be different for everybody because the way I interact with everybody and what I do for their lives is vastly different. But that's just me being a Swiss Army knife.
Well, what I would like to acknowledge you for is immediately my heart recognized you from a spiritual place. And what I can see in that is that I think that most people have that. You have that impact on their life, that their heart recognizes your heart. You're open, and your heart has so much strength and openness, and it is it's an attraction to. I want to be around that person so that maybe I'll get some of that, and that's what it feels like. And so in some ways, I think your life is already celebrated in itself of who you really truly are. And so the funeral will be such an amazing celebration of the man that you are and the man that you leave.
Thanks
for being that.
And we'll be there.
Yeah, come hang out.
From the research you've done, and obviously I love watching NFL. I love all about it. But more than that, much more than that, I want to thank you for the person you are today, because there's so many people look up to you. And we've been in the presence of the biggest players in the world, film stars in the world. That's who we work with. The being humble yet strong, positive yet tender is a very, very rare. And I just want to say, man, I'm looking up to you, man. You're one of the guys. I mean, what an influence you have on people. And it's our pleasure, absolutely, to have you on the show today. And almost bring us to tears with some of the stuff you've said. And just what a legend, man. What an absolute legend. I hope your funeral's not for another 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. But I'll tell you something, when it is, man, we'll be there. You're an awesome guy. Anthony Trucks was on the show. You see his website at the bottom, anthonytrucks.com. What a fantastic guy. Once again, Anthony, thank you for being on. It's been an absolute pleasure, my man.
Same here, man. Appreciate you guys. Seriously. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, welcome back to the end of the show. This is the Recovery Channel podcast. Dr. Robb Kelly, the Addiction Doctor, and Jennifer Lovely. Anthony Trucks was on the show. If you just joined us, shame on you. Oh my God, what was that like?
I know, that was so fun. What a fantastic human being.
I know, powerful, strong. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. I've met a few NFL players that's fallen from grace and they never get back. It takes courage to get back, and it takes courage to lead other people. And it takes courage to come on shows and talk about that kind of stuff, because I know the stuff, a lot of people we work with, they're like, oh, no, thank you for doing what you do, but I don't want to appear. No, I'm just going to stay quiet in the background. And yet all the stuff, either rains or it pours for Anthony, the game ball and everything all at once, first choice, and all of a sudden, wow.
Well, and I think the truth is that when you decide that you want to be honest with yourself, and you're honest about who you are, I think that's when everything changes. And that's really the work that we do, is like, hey, let's be honest about ourselves. Let's have that conversation. And clearly he's that man. So super powerful stuff. Really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, it's these guests are getting better and better as we trug along. I want to give a shout out to our producer, or the producer, as in not the podcast producer, who we're looking for, by the way. We need a new podcast producer. It's a paid position. But our research person, Courtney. So Courtney is absolutely amazing. Courtney goes out there and she researches these guys, and she get these guys. So Courtney, I know you're listening. Thank you so much for what you do.
Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney Davis is he's on Facebook, and she's also on all the platforms. If you want to be on the show, you get in contact with her. But we're usually booked out to about February now with some amazing guests. Well, what a show. What an absolute show. There's news coming in the near future, guys, where we're going to be taking this, but stick around. Have a fantastic week, guys. Thank you for joining us. Remember, the Recovery Channel podcast is now the new title. And for me, I want to say bye-bye. And for Jen.
And for me, have an amazing week, and take some deep breaths today. Just keep breathing. Yes.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.